Actually, it is a place that is supposed to be a meeting of a cliff, valley cliff that goes into the sea, and a cave that goes deep into the water, and there's poetry about it. It's you know, it's called Guk Zhong Guk, Sui Zhong Sui, and then there's a huge poem about it. And apparently, why it's called Guai Guk is because both Sun Mo and Guai Guk Ji were adamant they didn't want to be disturbed. The two of them were highly achieved people, and because they were also sort of keeping many of the secrets of Tao inside there, they had the access points so arranged from different directions that nobody can get in. And if you got in, you can't get out. So many troops have tried, many kings have sent their best and brightest there, and they got perished. Either they got perished or they came back and they didn't make any sense. So because they had all this Jan arranged there. So they call it Guai Guk Ji because I can't remember anything, you know, don't know where he went, so that's why it's called Guai Guk. Okay? So anyway, Sun Pan is this highly achieved guy who's, unfortunately, he has a best friend called Pang Guen. The Guen is 三點水口字捐, which means little stream, a little river, Pang Guen. Pang Guen is also a very gifted guy, and when Sun Pan went to learn from Guai Guk Ji, Pang Guen came along, but Guai Guk Ji is somebody who can tell the future, the past, and everything, and he looked at Pang Guen and he says, no. So anyway, the end result was after Sun Pan learned everything, he was a great swordsman and all that, he came out, you know, Pang Guen came out earlier and went to sell his skills, his knowledge, a very smart guy, to Ngai Gok. At that time, it was an earlier version of Ngai Wei. And Ngai Gok was very impressed. He said he's a very smart boy, Pang Guen. So Pang Guen is a very ambitious boy and did all kinds of things that impressed the king. And the king was very sort of ambitious, wanted to conquer the world. And then somehow the word came to the king's ears that Pang Guen has a Si Heng called Sun Pan who's even smarter than Pang Guen. And he says, why don't we invite him over and he can work with Pang Guen? And then I got two of the best and brightest guys. Pang Guen didn't think it was a good idea. But anyway, Sun Pan got invited, came across. And the end result was Pang Guen framed him because he was so afraid Sun Pan would, you know, shoot him in the seniority, that he framed him for treason. And so his kneecaps were taken off. In that time it was really treatment. They took off his kneecaps and they branded his face. And because Chai Gok, his original home, the king found out that Sun Pan has been badly treated. They bribed the people and they took him back there, took him back to Chai Gok. And Chai Gok Wang said, he says, I know who you are Sun Mo's descendant and you are Guai Guk Ji's student. You are unbelievable. Sun Pan says, I'm unbelievable, I've got no kneecaps. My face is branded, I'm no use, I'm lame. And the king says, you can kill anyone, you can't kill me. I know I want you. So end result was, he became the military strategist for King of Chai. And what happened was, Pang Guen was the commander for Ngai Gok and very ambitious. They went to attack Jiu Gok, another country nearby, and they were attacking the capital and almost conquering that. Jiu Gok's king sent his messenger to Chai Gok. He says, big brother, he says, save me, we are surrounded by these troops from Ngai Gok, what are we going to do? So Sun Pan and the troops from Chai Gok created this strategy called attack Ngai to rescue Jiu. So they went and attacked the capital of Ngai Gok from when Pang Geun's troops came. They attacked those guys, and so of course Pang Geun would take his troops out to rescue his capital. And as they were coming out, he laid an ambush for them and whacked them and defeated them. And then they went back to Chai Gok and then taught them a lesson. So Pang Geun went back there and they lost a lot of troops, and the king said, hey, your Si Heng is better than you, man. Pang Geun said, don't worry, I smart boy, I learned my lesson. So many years later, they went to attack another country. And then when they attacked this other country, again Chai Gok came to help the big brother. Chai Gok is the big brother, so they sent these guys again. So again, Sun Pan brought his troops, listen carefully, brought his troops to attack the capital of Ngai. So Pang Geun said, hey, don't think I'm a fool, you know. This time he left crack troops, top guys, waiting for Sun Pan. So Sun Pan's troops arrived, and this time the capital of Ngai troops came out, fought them, and beat them back. And the king of Ngai said to Pang Geun, he said, send a message back, clever boy, you learned your lesson. This time you let some crack troops here, Sun Pan got whacked. And then, what do you call it? Pang Geun came back, joined up with his king and his troops, and they were celebrating. And he says Sun Pan got beaten and they were running. So they go and check. First day they check 100,000 cooking pots. You know, in the camp, they just leaving. The second day they check 50,000 cooking pots left. Desertion. I told you the black cowards, man. This guy, that's from China, you know. And then this bloody lame guy, he's now no leader, man. Third day they checked 20,000 pots. Oi, Pang Jun says, I told you this is easy fight. So they said they kept chasing in the dark. They said they put on the horses and then went straight for him. They said, don't let him go now. 100,000 cooking pots, 50,000, 20,000. They will wipe them. So they went into this long, dark, narrow country path. And when they got there, it was full darkness. The troops said, hey, Pang Jun, Zhong Guan, you look in the front there's a big tree, but no bark scraped off. It's all dark. So Pang Jun went up there, struck a light, and to read what was there, it says, Pang Jun dies at this spot. 10,000 bowmen from either side just let loose. So because he also learned his lesson, he purposely showed that he's weak by going to attack your capital again, doing the same thing. And then, surprised by your crack troops, they lose, they run. So Pang Jun, wow, I sure win already this time because you fell for my trap. And then the 100,000 pots one night, second night 50,000, third night 20,000, give the impression my troops are deserting. Understand? So this fellow, braver and braver, kept chasing in the dark, reached the tree there. Pang Jun dies in this spot. This is the Sun Pan's famous victory at Ma Ling. Understand? So this is strategy for you. This is called Jiang Gai Zhao Gai. Since you have a trick, I use your trick to trick you. Do you understand? You have a trick for me in the sense that you send your crack troops ready this time. So I purposely lose to you. I purposely give the impression that my troops are losing heart. Less and less cooking pots you keep chasing. At the very end, boom, no way to go. You're in the dark, right? You just put on the light, everybody saw you there. 10,000 bowmen on either side of the valley. This is a story of Sun Pan. So, okay, what is it that, what you call it, makes me think and reflect about Sun Pan and Sun Mo, his ancestor, and what are these reflections that make me wonder whether we have the true version or whether we are interpreting it correctly? Very quickly, the principal considerations, there are 5 that Sun Mo writes in his so-called Sun Ji work. And he says, before you decide whether you go to war, 5 principal considerations. Number 1, Dou. Number 2, Tin. Number 3, Dei. Number 4, Jiang, as in general. 5 is Fat or Chak, the principles, the stratagem. Now, I don't know about you, but none of these words are easy to translate. Yes, we know what Jiang is and we probably know what Fat or Chak is. But do you know what Dou means? And how to use it? Man, that's a big word. If I had to put one Chinese word that probably it defies explanation, defies limitation, is the word Dou. You couldn't find a more complicated, more profound word than Dou. And to think that you can explain Xun Ji Ping Fat by understanding his first consideration of Dou, it's not easy at all. What does it mean? It's been explained as the moral law. It's explained as the universal law. But is that satisfactory? Is that his true meaning when he says Dou? Dou is just such a profound word and so deep and pregnant in meaning depending on the circumstance that it's not easy. There's no clear limitation as to what it applies to. And Tin has been defined as the climate, hot and cold. And Dei has been defined as the geography and topography. I'm not so sure that's its complete meaning. I'm definitely not so sure. Because Tin and Dei in the time of Xun Ji covers the cosmos, covers the understanding of the planetary movements. It's not exactly what you think, just hot and cold. So even these first 3 considerations, we are not even fully cognizant or capable of measuring and understanding fully. Do we understand Xun Ji Ping Fat? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Huh? Okay, let's think about this way. Think about this way. One thing that really struck me as sort of odd is that during the time of Xun Ji Ping Fat, Sun Mo's time, and before, and immediately after, the Chan, or the formation, both physical, military, and spiritual, were of the utmost importance. Not a single mention of it in Sun Ji Bing Fat. That's really odd. It's like, you know, you wrote a book about automobiles, but never talked about engines. You know, all you talk about is the shell. It's got nice lamps, you know, it's got beautiful tires, great, but nobody talked about the engine. The Chan was the engine. Do you understand? How can you talk about military strategy without talking about the Chan? Kyong Tai Kung's time. Kyong Tai Kung is the grandfather of military strategy in China. Chan was everything. He had thousands of types of Chan. To this day, people mention them in breathtaking terms. The power of his Chan. What happened to them? If you say to me, yeah, but Sun Ji is different, he's a scientific guy, you know, he's kind of not really interested in this old stuff. But hang on, his opponents were. So you still have to neutralize those Chan. You might not be interested. It's one thing. So one thing I can say, I'm not interested in guns. I only use knives. Yeah, but your opponents are using guns. What do you do to neutralize the guns? Do you understand? The formations, and those formations range from physical soldiers to spiritual, you know, sort of objects. And you might sort of say to me, "Oh yeah, what proof have you got, Sifu, of this Chan?" Let me tell you something. If you go and look at the terracotta warriors, they're all in formation, battle formation. And if one day you ever travel with me, Sifu will explain to you what the formations mean. But let's put it this way. A few hundred years down the track comes Chi Kot Leong, probably recognized as one of the greatest military strategists of all time. And Chi Kot Leong used plenty of Chan. In fact, Chi Kot Leong actually set up a Chan that after he died, the Ngok generals who came pursuing went to the Chan and couldn't come out. 1,000 years later, Ming Dynasty general went through the same path and couldn't get out. 1,000 years after the Ngok general lost his way, the Ming general with his troops also lost their way in the same place. So you can tell me that Chan has no effect? Okay, before we sort of run away from that, let's look at this thing. Look at history, recent history. In the recent earthquake in Sichuan in 2008. I think some of you might have heard of it before, the Sichuan earthquake. There's a place called Taoping Village, and the people who live there are the Jiang people, who claim to be original people related to Kyong Tai Kung, Zhao Wen Wang type people 3,000-4,000 years ago, the early Zhao people. And all their buildings are built on Chan principles, including the Bakwa. And Taoping Village, everything around Taoping Village was flattened. People died like you wouldn't believe. But Taoping Village, unblemished. The buildings are built on the Bakwa principle. The selection of the place, plus the woodwork. The woodwork is based on all the Bakwa principles. And they're all interrelated buildings. Nothing happened to them. They went to test it after the earthquake and realized that because they follow the Bakwa principles, the force is spread out. And no particular structure takes any force. The force just keeps rolling around at different levels. It just says, no matter nothing happened to those guys. And they have been like this, doing this for 4,000 years. So this is a Chan for you, modern day, you know, because it's based on Bakwa principles. So you tell me, does it work? You decide for yourself, right? So to me, the oddity here for so-called Sun Ji Bing Fat is that during his time, before his time, after his time, all these formations were key to battle. Not found in his descriptions here. Sun Mo's best friend, Guai Kuk Chi, is famous for his formations. That's not reflected here. And then one other statement. It depends how you interpret this. One of the key throwaway lines in Sun Ji Bing Fat is that Sun Mo says, the general who spends his time in the temple making many calculations before the war is assured of victory. But he who does not will be defeated. Now, you can put the accent on many calculations, or you can put the accent on the temple. It's up to you. Why did the general have to be in the temple to make calculations? In fact, I don't normally associate generals with temples. Generals are usually found in the military camp or in the palace.